Welcome back, everyone. Now that we've cleared the Crimson Gate Bridge, we just have to get through the wharf and search through the quarantine zone to find Madison. However, that little note about securing the wharf with minimum casualties, feel free to ignore that. We are going to do the same thing that we've done for a couple of these stages. Stock up on health, track down a nuke, and use it to blow up most of our opposition. However, I'm going to need a few particular items. Radar, so I know where I'm going. I need the grenades. I already have the health, and I don't have to pick up the gun buddies, but... oh well, I might as well pick them up. Now, first thing we gotta do is break through here and grab the cloaking device. The shield helps too, although it's not entirely necessary. It does help you save on health, though. Now we're going to head down here, fire up the cloaking device. We're going to have to blow up some of these kiosks and duck into one of these alleys. And then we're going to follow this fence further down the wharf. We do have to stop to blow up a turret or two, but it's not going to be a huge bother for us. Okay, this is where we need to be. Bank shot a grenade in there because there's a crap ton of mines surrounding a nuke. Alright. Now, we're just going to drop the nuke right here, since this is a pretty decent position for it, and run like hell. Okay, it looks like that only took out a couple of our friendly tanks. No matter, more spawn. Now we're going to drop the gun buddies in front of these walls. That way they can still shoot at incoming enemies, and they're not going to be in line of fire of our Goliath tank. It was important that we drop the nuke as fast as possible, because, as you might have seen earlier, there were enemy bunkers in the area. And I want to say that one of them can spawn Goliath tanks, although I'm not 100% sure on that. I do know that when I've done this too slow, I've had Goliath tanks come down that walkway in between the two sections of the wharf and attack me. Oh, and that one is already destroyed. So the hard part of this level is pretty much over. There are still fortified bunkers that will eventually spawn other enemy units. But for now, this is pretty much cakewalk. As such, I'm going to speed up. And pretty much the only things that have survived this, at least in this general vicinity, are the turrets. And in fact, there's a laser turret inside this fortress that is shooting me through the wall. And I somehow hit it through the wall. I don't know, collision detection can be weird in BattleTanx sometimes. There have been times where if you're too close to an object, you're going to end up shooting past it instead of into it. Anyway, let's speed up again. And now we're crossing over to the other side of the wharf, to the final fortress. Once again, the Goliath tank has already been taken out. Now we just have that turret to get rid of. Okay. Now we can start picking up queenlords. And if you look very carefully at the radar, when I picked up that queenlord, there was a fortified bunker right next to my fortress, where an enemy spawned. However, we still have a pretty well-established line of defense there, so they are lasting incredibly long. Also, I apologize about that noise. I ran out of ammo for my tank, for the base weapon. Fortunately, I have plenty of allied tanks following me around. And if I did get shot, I'm up to 7 health packs now. This is just to show you that there is a very realistic risk of running out of ammo, especially when you play on the higher difficulties. So yeah, with the nuke strategy, this isn't a particularly hard... oh god, we got a time bonus coming, don't we? Yeah, speeding through this. But you know what? Let's look on the bright side. With that massive time bonus, our army is going to get even larger. I'm kind of hoping that we can completely cover up Continue before this playthrough is over. That might just be wishful thinking, though. Anyway, here's the final bonus stage, and this is a little unique from the other ones, in that, whereas before we were just being attacked from the front or the front and the sides, now there are enemies that spawn behind us. So we're going to have to spin all the way around, and the controls don't reverse when you're doing this, so when you're facing behind you, it can be very easy to screw up left and right. Something else a little unique about this particular bonus stage is that you'll get health, lightning, and there are gun buddy drops. One general tip that I can give for getting through at least the first few waves of this is that when the enemies start piling up, one particular area where they'll spawn a lot is the direction you start off facing, go all the way to the right, and then just shoot straight down the alley. You're going to see me do that as I go into Wave 3. And if you look at the radar, you'll just see one solid red line going all the way down the alley. Like that. It's a good way to take out 2 or 3 tanks right off the bat. Another thing too, it's not just tanks that you deal with. When you get into the later waves, it also spawns the smaller enemies that fire machine guns. I really don't have anything else I can add about this particular stage other than, don't die, I guess? This is the one annoying thing, is when you just end up with one of the smaller guys. Although it's not too big of a deal unless you're really low on health, because then they can just chip damage you to death. I guess it's technically not chip damage, but it certainly feels that way. And so, this is how it ends. Not with a bang, but with, I guess, several bangs. Oh well, at least we got some extra bonus tanks from that one. Or at least we should. Yup, Battle Assassin. That'll get me, I believe, 2 extra tanks? Yep, 2 extra tanks. Anyway, now on to the important matters. We have finally reached the quarantine zone in San Francisco. By the way, I gotta call bullshit on this. Why was San Francisco not nuked? New York City was nuked. Bunch of other major US cities were nuked. Why did San Francisco get a pass? Anyway, on to more important matters. This can take a very long time to do. However, I have a plan. And if the past levels weren't any indication for it already, it involves a nuke. However, we have to get to said nuke. And for that, we've got to carefully wade our way through the Dark Angel's defenses. This is another one of those things where you can use breakable walls to kind of shield yourself from the turrets, but either enemy tanks or your own tanks will end up firing a stray shell that'll knock one of them down, and it has kind of a domino effect. Because then they start going after that turret and inadvertently blow down another wall, and then other turrets open up, and it's just a mess. You could get away with doing that on the bridge stages because it was just you. You controlled your fire, and you could largely manipulate enemies to fire in certain directions. Okay, that was dumb of me. Okay, at least I have plenty of health.
Power up.
Well, health power-ups, I mean. Anyway. This is another thing where it's really tempting to breeze through this really fast, but that's a good way to get yourself killed. In fact, I'm waiting for some of my allied tanks to catch up, just to make sure I don't get completely overwhelmed. I mean, even though I've got shields and a bunch of swarmers, it can never hurt to have a little help. Once we get further up the road, and it's a little difficult to tell this from the radar, there's going to be a point where the road has a point where you can divert off to the right. And I'm going to specifically look for that, because otherwise, if you just follow the main road all the way in, you'll end up going against some Goliath tanks that are off the rails. Even off the rails, Goliath still hit really, really hard. Okay, there's the point where it diverts. Now the thing is, there are a bunch of gun buddies and laser turrets and what have you waiting inside here, either in the initial alcove or in the following area. However, this is still a better option. I know it doesn't look like it right away, but the shield certainly helps. This is still a better option in the long run than just trying to go through the main gate. Besides, you can do a little wall manipulation to make sure that only one or two are shooting you at any given time. And I'm actually going to speed this part up because there was something I forgot to do before I came here. We are going to set up an additional line of defense at our fortress for when we eventually make the final run with Madison. I am going to place all of these gun buddies right at the end of this road. By the way, if you do end up dying in this, there's ammo, radar, and health in each one of those three buildings. But those gun buddies are going to act as a way of keeping the enemy forces at bay. Either when they're coming down the road before I get Madison, or when I have Madison and I'm coming back and stuff starts coming out of the fortified bunkers. Remember what I said about Goliaths off the rails? Well, there you go.
Power up.
That is why I'm not taking the main road.
Power up.
Now then, as we enter the side area, I'm going to be careful because I don't want to use up all of my health stuff. I'm going to need it for when the nuke goes off.
Power up.
Fortunately, there's some pickups here. And there are also a couple of bonus tanks in this area.
Power up.
There's the nuke. I'm not going to set it off right away, though. I'm going to take out that bunker, just so I don't have any difficulties on the way back. Another bonus tank. I'm going to knock down this wall, and I hate when they do that. I'm going to try and move myself further forward into that open area beyond where those trucks are. Because that way, I'll know that I'm close enough that I'll do sufficient damage to the turrets and units closer to where the enemy fortress is. And here we go.
Nuke deployed.
And run like hell. Technically, I didn't have to refill my health as I was running away, but I wanted to be absolutely sure that I wasn't going to die and lose the items I have to this point. Oh, you survived. But not for long.
Power up. Power up.
You can also go back to these side areas to get
Power
the
up.
laser, additional health pickups,
Power up.
anything
Power
you
up.
think you might need when you make
Power
the
up.
final charge on the fortress. There are going to be other little side areas you can check too. And some of these buildings, if you knock them down, will have health in them. Now, I'm going to be
Power up.
a little
Power
careful about
up.
how I do this. That was a mistake. Not exactly the greatest vantage point for firing guided missiles.
Power up. Power up.
Something else too, if you're just going for score, you might as well get all the power-ups you can at this point. I mean, it's the last level. Okay, we should be in better shape now. Well, we will be once that turret is gone.
Power up.
Alright, this should be good. Yep, clear vantage point of the final Goliath tank. And it's gone. Now all we have to worry about are the half dozen or so big-ass turrets that are still standing near the fortress.
Power up.
Really, this is all just about being patient. And, well, I will admit, I'm not particularly patient. However, I still have a bunch of health packs I can use, so at least I have a reason for being impatient. I can afford to do it.
Queenlord.
Alright,
rescued.
we've got Madison. Now we just gotta make the final charge back to the fortress and the game ends.
Power up.
And if you look at the radar, there were enemy units that spawned near that fortified bunker close to where I put down those gun buddies, but they're not there anymore. I wonder what killed them.
Power up.
Is that... Yes, it is. Might as well go after it. I still got my shield up. Gotta go for those points while I still can. You can't take it with you, right? And this is it. The final stretch. And we get a bonus tank right at the end. Because why not? Oh my god. I just realized we might have actually hit my goal of completely covering up Continue with bonus tanks.
Power up. Power up. Power up.
Well, we
Power
shall
up.
see.
Power up.
And that's it. That's BattleTanx, well, the single-player aspect of BattleTanx. The multiplayer in this game is pretty fun in itself, too. Actually, I think at the next convention I'm going to, I might bring this, just to see if anyone will give it a shot. Okay, this is it, everyone. Moment of glory. Can we cover it with tanks? Oh, so close. Yeah! Good note to end on. Oh, speaking of endings... And that is the rather haphazardly edited ending for BattleTanx. There was also a follow-up to this game called BattleTanx Global Assault, which unfortunately I've never had the chance to play. But you know what? Maybe someday. Until then, I'm going to let the credits play out. Thanks for watching, guys. See you later.